Hi there and welcome to Apple World. Steve Harvey had begun helping out the FBI following Diddy's stunning capture, and the VIP world was tossed into confusion. The disclosure was stunning. Steve Harvey, the lord of daytime TV GM game shows and self-improvement guides, had discreetly been snared in something much more obscure for a really long time. Incidentally, Steve probably won't have been quite recently an honest observer or casualty of Diddy's controls. He had become profoundly engaged with a snare of misdirection, and everything started at one of Diddy's scandalous parties. Further, Stacy, you say the present prosecution peruses like a horde prosecution. What was generally surprising to you of every one of these claims? Better believe it the reality, Jake, that the government in this arraignment introduced proof claiming that Sean Connor was running a criminal venture presently. How about we be straightforward? Bits of hearsay have whirled for a really long time about Diddy's private social events. They were famous, filled with big-name superstars and covered in mystery. Individuals murmured regarding the unbelievable happenings behind shut entryways. However, nobody truly realized what went on as off. Recently, and here's the kicker, Steve Harvey was a customary participant. Yes, the man who teaches about confidence, family, and making the best decision was need somewhere down in Diddy's wild way of life. So what occurred at these gatherings that would make a man like Steve chance? All that to keep it calm. Well, assuming that he truly was recording everyone. See, he had a ton of individuals at those gatherings, right? The response lies in the way that Diddy was no customary host. As indicated by insiders, he wasn't simply tossing rich parties for the sake of entertainment. He was gathering soil on his alleged companions. At one specific occasion, Diddy purportedly got Steve on camera in a splitting the difference position. We're discussing secret cameras stowed away wherever, recording each move with incredibly difficult and prurient charges, including charges that Holmes had cameras all through his home. These weren't simply easygoing get-togethers. These gatherings were intricate snares, and Steve, who had gone to more than one, thought of himself as on some unacceptable finish of Diddy's focal point. What precisely did Diddy catch? Well, the subtleties are fluffy. However, the word is that it was something sufficiently outrageous to save Stephen L. for quite a long time. For the people who don't realize, Diddy has consistently had an eye for power. He realized that having influence over influential individuals was a definitive insurance contract. So when he understood what he had on Steve, he didn't hold back to utilize it. And in this claim, he asserts that basically P. Diddy was the Epstein of the rap business. Reports have surfaced that Diddy extorted Steve for quite a long time, requesting favors and, surprisingly, a stake in a portion of Steve's rewarding undertakings. However, here's where it gets significantly more out of control. Diddy supposedly didn't stop at business bargains, as indicated by murmurs leering their path through Hollywood. D requested something significantly more unimaginable. Lori Harvey, truth be told, Steve's own stepdaughter was, as far as anyone knows, part of the curved condition. Each part of her life, he is denounced of much of the time beating her and would stow away her in lodgings for quite a long time until the swelling and indications of misuse were gone. It sounds mind-blowing, but when you start to sort out the realities, everything fits. Lori, who was in her mid-20s at the time, turned into an installation at big-name occasions around a similar time. Diddy and Steve were apparently clashing in the background. There were even reports that Lori had been associated with Diddy. Sincerely, bits of hearsay that both Lori and Diddy have denied, yet they continue regardless anyway. Diddy's hold over Steve wasn't just about cash, it was private. Diddy realized he had Steve right where he needed him, and Steve wasn't in a situation to reject that. Obviously, there is a lawbreaker examination in progress, and that they accept that there would be proof of wrongdoings in either of these homes. However, for what reason didn't Steve leave? For what reason didn't he open up to the world sooner? How profound did his impact go? If Steve had approached, he would have needed to face the aftermath from the recording, whatever it was, and for somebody like Steve, whose image is everything, the likely annihilation of his image was too extraordinary a gamble. Steve fabricated a domain around being the beguiling, insightful, amusing man everybody could connect with. However, behind that glossy outside was somebody who was unnerved by losing it all. You realize, I think in government court, and for these charges, they would agree that it's routine, yet in the public domain, this is extremely huge just from who we partner did he being and everything we've seen him do throughout the long term. Like you said, this is a remarkable defeat to go from, we saw that. houses, backpack, and spring that were assaulted by the federal authorities. So to go from living in those chateaus to being in the prison cell, the layers of control go much more profound at the point when you take a gander at what Steve supposedly needed to accomplish for Diddy throughout the long term past. The bits of gossip about L's association sources guarantee that Diddy utilized Steve's impact to address lawful issues, make associations, and even launder cash through his organizations. It's hard to envision somebody like Steve who is dependably teaching about the significance of morals. Furthermore, values being up to speed in something so evil, yet the murmurs have been becoming stronger. Steve wasn't simply Diddy's companion, he was his pawn. He was the individual Diddy would call when an issue required settling somebody to tidy up the wreck without posing to numerous inquiries, and a parcel of the affirmed proof that has been assembled for this situation was from those two assaults that were led on his own homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the prosecution names that, the things held on to that were that he supposedly made recordings of these exhibitions as those have been net Ahmed freak-offs. And here's the turn that truly makes this story detonate. Steve didn't simply remain quiet in view of shakedown. There are bits of hearsay that Steve profited from the game plan. Some say he utilized Diddy's associations with secure key agreements, and I hung the telephone up. I went higher up. I said, blemish. Dee said, blemish. We got an issue when I cleared up it for her. Marjorie began crying. Others guarantee that Steve took advantage of the advantages of being in Diddy's inward circle extravagance trips, access to the best occasions, and that's only the tip of the iceberg. The fact that Steve was hesitant makes it possible to leave the advantages that came with being near Diddy. Yet as time went on, the cost of remaining in Diddy's circle turned out to be too high. A unique lodging unit is a 24-hour secure unit, which implies that any development inside that unit is controlled and composed, and the negative detainee moves beyond his cell without being in full limitations to incorporate lugs irons, cuffs, a midsection chain, and at least 2 on them. Off chance that not 3 staff individuals are accompanying them. It was only after Diddy's ongoing legitimate difficulties that Steve at long last saw an exit plan when the FBI started exploring Diddy for a clothing list of charges, including racketeering and defilement. Steve realized the game was up. He had 2 options, either go down with Diddy or flip and coordinate with the federal authorities. It's nothing unexpected that Steve picked the stepping stool for somebody who has consistently had a sharp sense for endurance. This was the main move that seemed okay. By coordinating, Steve could safeguard himself from any lawful aftermath and attempt to rescue what was left of his standing yet. In doing so, he uncovered exactly how far he had tumbled from the picture of the healthy, family-friendly performer, now in the event that the public authority will command that they are answerable for your prosperity. They need to guarantee the security of your prosperity. In one of the most stunning disclosures, it was announced that Steve moved toward the FBI not long after Diddy's capture. Concurring to insiders, Steve painted himself as the casualty, asserting that Dee had pressured him into doing things he never needed to do. He filled the role of somebody who had been pushed into a tight spot, controlled by one of the most influential men in the media outlet. However, we should be genuine here. Was Steve simply a casualty, or was he playing the 2 sides up and down? His choice to participate positively raises inquiries concerning his part in all of this. Got the Diddy cap circumstance, where he bounces on a personal luxury plane, they say recently, and is en route to the Cape Verde Islands. On a superficial level, it could seem like Steve had no way out with Diddy in a correctional facility, and the entirety of the law shutting in anybody in Steve's position would have been searching for a getaway from course. However, the fact of the matter is Steve had been complicit for a really long time. He knew precisely what Diddy was doing, and he decided to remain quiet, whether it was a result of coercion, or in light of the fact that he profited from the game plan. The reality remains Steve was a contributor to the issue, and presently with Diddy's capture and all the letting out the unadulterated truth, Steve is scrambling to remove himself. What's most upsetting is the way consistently Steve has kept up with his public persona all through all of this. He proceeded to have his television shows compose self-improvement books and tutor youngsters, all while concealing his association with these sketchy exercises. It's a work of art instance of somebody introducing one face to the world while stowing away another completely also. Now that in all actuality beginning to arise plainly, Steve's cautiously created picture is starting to break. That is not the issue. The issue is that it appears like he needs to apply power and strength over individuals who don't actually need it. However, even as Steve attempts to explore this wreck, the genuine inquiry occurs next. Yet again, People in general pardon him, subtleties become known, or will this be the outrage that at last cuts down his domain? It's difficult to say, yet one thing is without a doubt, this story is nowhere near over. The more profound you dig, the more layers of misleading control and selling out you uncover presently. So what is next? Is he going to be in prison in this office until the preliminary starts? Is there an opportunity? Subscribe Apple World for more videos.